And Dr. Shruti will be joining soon. Tanista madam texted her. She'll be joining. Good afternoon, Dr. Shruti.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Hello, namaste. It's morning for us.
Okay.
Morning.
Madam Rajula,
Yes, ma'am.
she has joined. Rajeshwari, Sindhuja.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. And who is going to introduce the resource person today? And who is going to give the welcome? Are you ready?
Ma'am, I'm launching the webinar. Can we start?
Yes, ma'am. We can start.
Dr. Shruti, good afternoon from Bangalore.
Hello.
Ma'am, I have launched and please start.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Department of English at Velamal College of Engineering and Technology, it is my distinct pleasure to extend a warm welcome to each of you for the fifth day of our International Faculty Development Program on 28 February 2025. We are truly honored to host a program to distinguished gathering of educators and scholars from renowned institutions around the world. Your participation reflects our shared commitment to advancing education, and we are deeply grateful for your involvement. This FDP aims to provide an enriching platform for faculty members to enhance their teaching, research, and professional skills. While promoting a culture of academic excellence, we firmly believe that this initiative will spark insightful discussions, encourage meaningful collaborations, and inspire innovative approaches to teaching and research. We are confident that this program will further your professional journey and foster strong connections among passionate educators dedicated to shaping the future of education. Once again, we warmly welcome you all and eagerly look forward to an engaging and rewarding experience together. It is now my pleasure to invite I Kavita to introduce our esteemed resource person.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Shruti Nara is a senior lecturer at HAM University of Applied Sciences, HAMK, Finland, teaching language courses for research purposes like academic writing to masters and bachelor students. He has a doctoral degree from EFLU, India, where she specialized in teaching academic writing. To keep in touch with the pedagogic developments, she completed a professional teacher education degree. Being a translational, she was presented with opportunities and experiences that shape her schema related to culture, context, and their impact on communication. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much for the kind words and the warm welcome. Trying
you,
to
ma'am.
share my screen here.
Sorry to trouble. Can I ask everyone to mute? Because noises are coming. Gomadi ma'am, please ask you people to mute, ma'am. Dr. Arumugam, because voices are coming.
I have informed them.
Oh, yours also, ma'am. Thank you. Please go ahead, Dr. Siddhi.
Hope you all can see my slides now.
Yes, ma'am. It is full screen.
Yeah. So I kept my slides very simple today, because I would like to explain and kind of show on ChatGPT what I'm talking about. So I'll also be demonstrating what the ideas that I'm presenting here. I'll be demonstrating them. So I'll not be doing a long monologue. So can I ask a few questions before I continue, or is it okay?
Yeah, you can ask and they will put their answer in the chat box.
Okay, sure. So, how many of you use any of the AI tools? And if you use them, could you say what you use them for? Let's say one or two uses that you have already tried and then maybe were successful. Could you give some purposes you use any of the AI tools, for instance, Copilot or ChatGPT? Responses opening. Yeah, good. Can we think of some purposes? Like, why do you use them? As in, I gather that you're all teachers. So, do you use them when you teach? Or do you use them for, yeah, okay, for classroom activities? And how many of you, okay, to save time? That, yeah. Anything else? Like anything specific when we say classroom activities? Like, do we ask for ideas when we teaching and learning? Okay. Do you also grammar? Okay. Preparing PPTs? Yeah. Yeah. Then the article writing. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Sure. So I personally use these kind of tools for very limited purposes, because I'm still of the traditional mindset that the tools, they could be used, but then they have their limitations. But I never ask, let's say, for any of these tools to do the writing for me. But then during the writing process, I use them for some of the steps, and then I think these, for me personally, were like, we're saving time, we're efficient, and then also kind of did not take the writer out of me. So I also encourage my students to do the same. But then I'll talk about the limitations towards the end. But in the beginning, I'll focus on how these tools can be used. I'm using ChatGPT as an example. There are many out there, and then I've also personally used Copilot, and then a few, and Padlet also, and a few others. But then since we cannot cover all of them because of time that we have, let's focus on one of these tools and then think of the different purposes you use such a tool for. And in this presentation, ChatGPT. So to start with, brainstorming. So I believe that these kind of tools are pretty decent when we have to use them for brainstorming. Let's say we need ideas, we need to get different perspectives, and then gather some ideas before we get started, like at the very initial stage. Traditionally, we used to, let's say, make notes or jot down points or talk to our peers, or we used to all use different kinds of methods, each have their own preference. But right now, using a AI tool would save us a lot of time and energy, because they're very quick, and then they can give us all the ideas that we need to think about before we start any process. And today we'll discuss writing. And then the second purpose, I would say, is gathering information. So then traditionally we used to go to the library and then look at the different books and articles and, all these resources that we could use to get the information that's already available. And then that was a big step in the process. So we had to do a lot of physical reading, going through the material and then finding what is relevant to the purpose that we have at hand. But now this gathering information has become really simple because the AI tool can do that for you. It can go through, skim and scan through the material that's available and then present to you, let's say 3 or 4 very relevant like posts or articles or books or like anything that could help you know something that's already relevant. So apart from, let's say, the basic paragraph writing or the essay writing, the same doesn't hold true for let's say thesis writing. You cannot gather information just using ChatGPT when you're writing a thesis, be it bachelor's or master's, or definitely not a doctoral thesis. You cannot, because it is still an AI tool, and it cannot give you all the information that you need to consider before you start writing something that is more serious than an essay, and also something that is wider in scope, because in a thesis you're thinking of many aspects. You might not be thinking just about one concept. So when it comes to, let's say, considering a lot of concepts and then putting it all together, then I don't think these AI tools can do as well as a human. So that would be one of the limitations. So it cannot replace the gathering of information for all the purposes, like especially when you write longer reports or longer theses, or it wouldn't work very well. But if you're writing a paragraph defining something, defining a concept, or if you're writing an essay, an opinionated essay, or if you're thinking of activities that you could use for a class, if you're brainstorming, it works wonders and it works really well. But when we look for any information, we have to also remember that we are not taking it blindly, of course, because we use human discretion, which the tool doesn't have. So we need to look at it from a lot of other perspectives that it might miss, but then it's cutting the steps a little bit and saving your time there. And then using it as a sounding board. If let's say you're writing, even if you're writing a thesis, or if you're writing a report and then you're stuck somewhere, and then you want different ideas, like, or you want to know how the whole thing is going. So you can definitely get good feedback from these tools, and it's fascinating to kind of try it and then see what the tool has to say. And so usually we use our friends or teachers or our peers or colleagues as a sounding board. So, but if you want to, let's say that our friends are not available all the time, but then this tool is 24/7 with you. So if you want to be efficient, let's say you want to test your idea a little bit and then get some feedback before you continue, and then you don't have any human with you. Or also for some students and some others, I know this is an issue that they do not want to ask a human all the doubts that they have, because they have this fear of getting judged. So this tool is not judging you. So you can ask any question. You can be stupid with the tool. So it doesn't say to tomorrow to your other colleague that, hey, okay, this person did not know this. had a question about this. Haha. It wouldn't do that. So that's another big factor for some of the students who are more introverted and who do not want to, let's say, raise their hand in the class and ask a question to the teacher, though the teacher would be definitely willing to give feedback, but then the student wouldn't want to get it, let's say, before the draft or before the writing. It looks decent for them to present it to the student, but to their other peers or the teacher. So then the AI tool is a perfect solution for this kind of an instance when you want to get feedback, but still you do not want to get judged. Or, it's efficient because then it's available all the time. So then it's a good sounding board. And to get a fresh perspective or counter argument. So if you're writing let's say, an opinionated essay, or if you're writing any thesis, for instance, and then if you're saying that this particular theory or this particular concept is more relevant for my purpose, then you can definitely miss a few counter arguments and then would make your argument not so strong and not so well developed. So then you can gather these counter arguments with a tool like this. And also the tool might give you a few perspectives that you must have missed. So then that's one reason we always have, let's say, editors or, peers giving feedback for writing, because it's usually a monotonous process. But then getting a fresh perspective, getting feedback from a different pair of eyes is always valued. And AI can do it to an extent for you, but still wouldn't be able to replace a human. But it's a good middle ground, as in rather than getting no feedback at all while you're writing, you get some feedback from AI, which is any day better than not getting it at all from anybody. And also in large classrooms, this would also work well, because the teacher cannot go to each and every student and answer all the questions that maybe AI could have answered very efficiently. And then the teacher can come at the end, kind of giving feedback, whether what they were thinking was right or not, and then can kind of validate their ideas towards the end. But in the process, then the student can use AI to give to receive feedback and to get ideas and to get more perspectives. So then the writing blocks, and then also a related idea, then you could ask AI questions whether, what you're doing is making sense, or if there are any ways to move forward. If you cannot write any further, you're dry, and then you do not have any ideas to continue. Especially it is relevant in longer pieces of writing, because let's say thesis writing is not as straightforward as, let's say, writing a 2-page essay, because at some point you might need that support or a different perspective, or something that you haven't thought about. You cannot do it all on your own. So then you can ask questions and get some answers to get the inspiration that you need to continue. And then this is also, I'm sure some of you would use this, that like finding the right words or phrases or idioms. So there are many words out there, and then we used to use our dictionaries, and then we used to also rely a lot on our memory, and I think we still do. But then I don't know if you have, I'm sure you must have had at least one of these experiences where you forgot the right word or the right phrase or the idiom that would fit into the purpose, and then you would ask your friends, hey, there is this kind of a word. What would that be like? Can you guess? So that, because you're not getting it immediately like into your memory, so you cannot recall. So then AI can definitely do wonders and then give you many options to choose from, and the good part is that you can ask questions and then you can exactly get the answer that you are looking for. So then that's one way of using it, getting if you're getting into the details, right? And then drawing different creative hats. If you're doing creative writing, also this writing block would be related to the creative writing as well, because during creative writing also you need you might get stuck somewhere, and then you might want to get some ideas or opinions, and then different set of eyes that would think differently, like how else can you continue the story, or how else can you continue your piece of poetry. So that definitely would you would get some good insights from these tools. And then feedback on text. I read an article recently about this, and maybe when I share the slides, I would add the reference for it if you're interested to read it. So in that article, it's actually from our senior who works in BITS Hyderabad. So he tested ChatGPT, if I remember right. Yes, ChatGPT for the writing process. And then it was a large class that he was using it in, and then he was using it to give feedback to the students on their text. So they were, and he collected the student opinions, and then it was a very successful kind of a study that he conducted. And then they found that in large classrooms, they could use a tool like this to get feedback on text, because the teacher cannot be there all the time with the student, because then the student can use it during the process, as I was saying, and then the teacher can come in at the end. So when there were control group and then experimental group, the experimental group used the tool during the process and the control group did not. And then the results were positive, significant for the experimental group. So for the writing process, let's say in their case, first year bachelor students were using it. So then they could use and ask, let's say, very specific questions about the structure in their text, and then the flow, ways of improving it, or word search, or for different ideas or perspectives. So they can use for any of the purposes that I've mentioned, but then the teacher found that it was a successful use when they were doing it during the writing process. And then feedback with specific guidelines provided. So let's say, as I was saying, then specifying what we need feedback for, as in we could ask for the let's say the accuracy, we could ask for the structure, we could ask for flow, we could ask for counter arguments, we can ask for supporting details. So we use the tool as we need it. We do not need to take all the ideas and all the responses that the tool would give you, but then you can be very specific. That is why I'm saying you can ask questions. You can make it answer just the question that you would like. So now I would like to show some of these in a tool. Like I'm using ChatGPT today, but I would like to demonstrate this a little bit, because then instead of then just listening to it, we can see what actually the tool can do. Any questions till now? you want me to talk about something more than the other? Okay. So I'm now going to can you see my screen now? I hope you can. And yeah. So I'm going to now use this tool for the purposes that I have just mentioned. Let's start with brainstorming plus gathering information both. Then I'm asking the tool, I would like to write a descriptive essay on so this is the question I asked. So now I get this information. So there are many techniques, and then they have, let's say, 8 methods. So then I ask. So make it into a table. Then it gives you the table with the process and the characteristics. That. Okay. So I'm now asking a very specific question. I'm asking AI to kind of suggest to me based on the requirements that I gave. I like a particular kind of coffee, for instance, and then I want to drink it without sugar. Then AI is kind of searching for you. So methods you might want to try, and then methods you might want to avoid. That's interesting. But then I would ask another specific question to kind of question the decision that AI took. because I'm not taking it as face value. Because I also know something about, let's say, this process. And then I have a question, okay, why not that? So, well, why did you not? Then it will explain the reason, and then I think that is valuable, especially if you're talking about some important concept, and then you want the reason or a perspective, then you would get it there. So this is one example. So I want to do any questions with this. Like, did you use it like this with very specific questions and then to take a decision for you or to gather information? Did you use it for this purpose? Do you use it like I'm using now? Or do you use it different? But then, apart from this, I also would like to use it for another question. Okay. And then now I want to reason it. That if I'm writing an essay and then I want to develop an argument here, and then I want to say that fasting is a good method to stay healthy or fit. So I want to get different perspectives on it. So I want to gather information here, but also understand if there are counter arguments that I need to consider when I'm building this argument. So I would ask these kind of questions to get all the perspectives that I need to consider while building this argument. So, you know, I have a different question. Do you agree that it's a good method to have healthy and fit? So I ask this kind of question. Let's see. And it's reasoning with you. So gives me potential benefits, metabolic health, cellular repair, inflammation, and cardiovascular health. Then considerations and risks. These could be our counter arguments, individual differences. It cannot be for everybody. Potential side effects, and then medical conditions. Okay, thank you. And the reason I'm being polite with it is that based on your response, it would also, you know, either do it better for you or, you know, not so. If you're impolite, then it is not going to be so nice to you. That's what I heard. I don't know, but I don't take chances. I'm nice to AI. So then, so I want to ask. Now I have the benefits and side effects. So I want to ask if I do not have ailments and then I'm kind of asking you to think for me, because then said there are medical conditions. It's not for it. There are individual differences. So then I'm asking a straight question. If, you know, this kind of a fast is okay for 30-year-olds, and then what are the things you need to consider. So again, it gives me potential benefits and considerations and risks and final thoughts. So once you get information like this, my suggestion is that please do not encourage your students or do it your own. Do not copy the text that it has written here. Just use it as ideas and perspectives that you need to consider for building your argument on your own. Because why I say this is it is only generating this information, taking stuff from different sources. So then even if you copy and paste this, you'll have to cite it. And in many instances, it wouldn't give you where it took the text from. AI is not generating from nowhere. It is taking, let's say, some definitions and some information from the internet, from what is already available. So if you're let's say writing something, and then if you have to think about copyright, and then if you have to think about citing sources, the one thing that you shouldn't be doing is copying from here and then pasting in your document and saying that this is your own. You can definitely use it in the class, saying, hey, this is because we use the information from the internet all the time. And then we're not calling it ours. So we are just treating it as information. It's fine. But then if you're putting it in your thesis or your report or your document, and then if you're saying this is something I wrote, then there's a problem. And this kind of a tool is not for that. And there are many plagiarism issues that students are facing because of this. So this shouldn't be encouraged at all with the students. So it could be used as an assistant in a way, but you still have to do the writing. It gives you many shortcuts, but then that one thing that you shouldn't do is copy from here and directly paste it there. So after that, then I want to ask an interesting question. So then let's see how it would understand human emotion. So okay. So I'm asking AI now this kind of a question. So till now, it's giving the information that it found from different places. Now, can it reason with? Can it think exactly about what I'm asking? Let's say I'm saying, my mother is not very happy with my decision to do the fast, so I did not give here what fast I'm talking about, because in the previous question I said 72-hour water fast, and I'm sure with my experience it would identify, it would remember, and then I understand what fast I'm talking about. And then I'm asking if it is if my mother's concern is objective or emotional. So I'm asking a very specific question, and then giving a few as in conditions, and then it has to think and reason with me, and then give me a very as in very relevant answer. It cannot it would be wrong if it is not actually reasoning. So So then so here, see, without food for 72 hours, so then AI remembers. You don't need to mention every time what you are talking about. You can use pronouns and you can use words that refer to something that you have asked before, and then it would remember. So then it's saying objective aspects and emotional aspects. Yes, there are definitely risks involved. That is why your mother is totally not emotional when she is saying it could be dangerous for you to do it. So then the fear and anxiety they have a reason. So then you could ask specific questions like this. And I have another interesting thing I want to ask. So this is also like related to gathering information and getting a few counter arguments. So we also got a few counter arguments in fasting question, but then yeah. Pain children after then this is my claim. Did you find so here again, if you know the process of writing yourself, if you know that okay, there is a claim and then I have to add supporting evidences and then I have to gather this from different sources before I do that, I need to support my argument like this using, let's say, statistics or articles or different authors saying the same thing. So if I have to do that and I know that I have to do that, so then I know what I need to ask AI, like what I should ask it for. So if that's why we still have to make sure that the students understand the process of writing, understand the steps involved, because only if you can write independently, as in without using any of the tools, if you can develop an argument, develop this paragraph, then you know what kind of questions that you can ask this kind of an assistant for. Because if you think about the boss and assistant kind of a relationship, the boss has to know what to ask for. Otherwise, the assistant cannot deliver because the boss doesn't know himself or herself that, what to expect. So that is why the familiarity with the writing process is necessary for you to be able to ask the right question. If you don't understand that, then you can't ask the right question. And then you can't also be critical when you get the feedback from AI because AI is not always right. So then if you only know the whole thing properly, then you can say, hey, here it is wrong, but here it is. So the students and us as teachers, we shouldn't lose the ability to write, ability to think, and then reason and develop arguments on our own, because if we never did that, because there'll be this generation that is coming up who wouldn't have done it independently at all because they have this internet and AI and all these tools that they could use. So we are still reaping benefits from the time when we did not have all this, and then we did the work independently. We took notes, and then we read books and articles, and then we kind of did it all from scratch. So then if our students have never done that, then they wouldn't be able to ask the right questions. So the emphasis from us as teachers should be that, we have to make them do the work from scratch at some point, at some depth, so that they can use these tools properly. So because I know the process, I know when my students are not doing that. I know how I would have used the tool, and looking at how my students are using, I know the gap, because this is the gap that I have done it from scratch and they haven't. And I see a clear difference between those who have done it and then those who have not, even within my students. So yeah, I think the emphasis should be on this, that we teach them the process properly. At the same time, we encourage them to make use of these tools. We do not need to tell them, please do not use them at all, because they would use them anyway. So try to give them ways of using it, try to give them, limitations for it, so that, at some point when they do think about it, then they understand, okay, this is something that I cannot use it for. But banning the topic totally in the classroom is not going to solve it, because they have access. All our students have access to all these tools, and then educating them is a better way of approaching it than banning it totally from the learning process. So I gave this claim. So the student would be able to ask this question if they know that they have to support their claim with evidence, right? So then they will ask, hey, I have this claim that I have to support in my writing. Can you find supporting evidence? So I asked. So it gives me all these reasons. Very interesting, as in all at one glance. So that's valuable for me, because let's say for me to get these subheads, I should have done some thinking, and then I would get them after some reading and thinking, and then some understanding that I would achieve on this claim. But right now, in 8 seconds, it gave you critical or sensitive period hypothesis, phonetic learning and accent acquisition, which is very popular. Students who learn different languages when they are young are more likely to get the accent and the right pronunciation versus those who learn when they are adults. And then second language acquisition studies, neuroscientific findings. So it gave you all the perspectives that you can think about that when you are supporting this claim. Very interesting. Then I want to ask, okay, could you give me counter argument? Then I kind of, after I get the supporting details and the counter arguments, I kind of have a sense of my writing, where I should go. Okay, these are all the theories and aspects and approaches that support my claim. These are the ones that are against my claim. So then I have to take a stance, and then I have to justify and refute some of the counter arguments by saying, hey, okay, in this context, in my context, maybe it applies or maybe it doesn't, but still, it's better to encourage the children to learn their languages before they turn 5 and expose them to as many. So you would conclude after, refuting them or supporting them the way you want. But then the main idea here is that you get that sense of direction. within seconds, and that's valuable. So you could use it to plan your writing and to kind of decide your direction of writing. What are the supporting details? What are the supporting lines that you would like to use? What counter arguments would you like to refute? And how you want to end the essay or your piece, whatever your piece is. So that is something I would take from a tool like this. But I would never do this. I would never take, what they have written about this and then, copy and paste it in my essay, not from a tool like this. But if I want, let's say, these definitions, then I would ask, could you find me some peer-reviewed articles that I ask for this? And then if I find, let's say, good articles as a result of my prompt, then I would use the articles and then maybe the definitions in there and the author's opinions. I would use them to as citations for my text, but I would not use what the AI has generated. So, but another problem with gathering resources from here is that some of them might exist, some of them might not. You have to cross check, and you could do the same search in Google Scholar and these kind of places, of course, but then you'll have to go take this to the Google Scholar and check if it is available, or to your institutional library and then you have to check if it's available. But then always take from these kind of sources you can cite. Do not take the information from places where you cannot cite and then get into these plagiarism problems. Okay, so these are the things I wanted to show on this tool. And in the slides that I'm going to share with you, I have these prompts also. You can take a look at them when you're free, and also use similar prompts when you want to, use this tool, and then you can play with it, ask questions, and then you can do different things, and then use it as your assistant. And do not listen to everything that it would say. Question it, and then say and ask challenging questions, and then you would get better answers than when you accept everything that is like you. Okay, that's what I have about the I just have one more thing I want to share. How much time do I have? Could somebody remind me, please?
You can go ahead, ma'am. You can take some.
You can go.
Okay, so I want to talk about limitations a little bit, and then good. So
Yes, ma'am.
yes, I hope you can see my screen. So I have these. I have not the same prompt, but I used a similar prompt that for each the purpose that I said, I gave example prompts in my slides, and you get the slides later. But I want to talk about the limitations, what AI cannot do. So in my experience from, let's say, using it and seeing the students using it, I gathered these, and then I would also talk about a few ways of solving them. So as I said, AI cannot cite for you. So in a thesis, AI cannot do the in-text citation. And even if it does, it's mostly hallucinating. And these citations are not real, they're not available. And then if you go check, then they are just, made up. So do never trust AI at this point of its, intelligence to cite the sources for you. So that is why copying the text from there wouldn't help, because it can reason and it can think and it can do all these things, but it cannot write the text that you can use in all the all the instances. Maybe you can use it for your classroom activities where there is no problem of copyright, but then do not use it in any of the reports or any of those documents that need to be uh, plagiarism free. So do not ask AI to cite. And yeah, plagiarism and citation, they are related, because if you don't cite, then you're plagiarizing. If you don't know where you're getting the information from, and then you copy and paste it, and you do not mention where you got it from, because you can definitely cite ChatGPT. Please look at, let's say, an APA 7 kind of a guideline to see how you can cite ChatGPT itself. You can do that. But it doesn't look good all the time if you say the whole text is from ChatGPT, right? So think about citations and then think about plagiarism if you're talking about important documents. And then with repeated use of this kind of a tool, students and us as well would lose the skill to write, and that would be a major drawback of you overusing this tool. And then, of course, you can become over dependent on these kind of tools, and then at some point you wouldn't be able to do it from scratch, or help the students who struggle with the process because you are not in touch with the process anymore. So then it also makes assessing student writing very hard. And then this is a burning topic, I would say, in many of the teacher circles, that how to assess student writing. How can we do that with confidence? Can we do that anymore? Kind of a thing. So then here in Finland, they are trying to use different methods to solve this problem. In most of the assignments that the students need to submit, they also need to submit a video recording of, let's say, students talking about the ideas that they have written in the document. So that's one way of testing them, whether they have actually written it. They understand what they're talking about in the document. So they're kind of testing in 2 or 3 ways so that they know exactly who wrote this. So I'm sure some of you are also facing something like this, and then you might have some strategies to solve it. I would like to listen to your opinions and listen to how you solve it in your classroom. If you can share some during the Q&A, it would be interesting. But then, yeah, this is what I have for today. I'd be happy to answer your questions. Was my voice not clear? I'm only checking it now. Okay. I would answer questions if we have any now.
I request the participants to put your questions in the chat box or in the Q&A box, and also you can put your compliments for the speaker also in the chat box. What did you learn mainly? If you have any questions, please put it. Participants, can you post your questions if you have any doubt or any appreciation? What is the time in Finland, ma'am, now?
It's 11:30.
11.
Okay, sure.
Not much questions. It was some appreciation. Yes,
Sure.
they have taken ideas from your session. That's great.
Tanishta is here, I didn't
Friends,
see.
hope you listened. Please post your questions or some appreciation message for the speaker. Dr. Gomati, are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, please take over, ma'am.
Yes. Sindhuja, Rajeshwari. 1 minute, 1 minute.
Good evening, ma'am.
Ma'am, I think you look, your origin is from India.
Yeah.
I think compared to
Appa,
Finland, here in India,
you,
we have large number of universities and large number of colleges, and then some are in the, like in even today, I think India, quite a lot to fall under, how to say, the rural category.
Yeah, yeah.
Then hardly a few are blessed to study in a city that the colleges that is really having excellent facilities. And then with regard to this chat GPT, I'd like AI tools, so many are available for the teachers, and then they can use it productively. Also here the student ratio also. I worked in engineering college, it is 100 students in one class.
Yeah, exactly.
So one teacher goes to many classes, and then obviously the workload is very high, and then using this AI tool to submit the work of the students, it is really, and then I think AI tool can help the teacher in that situation. And so what is your piece of advice for teachers who are in such a situation, how effectively they can use so
Use
that the
it.
students are benefited and also the teachers are benefited? Plus, with regard to upskilling the teachers in India, I'm really doubtful whether it is happening, because each management supposed to take responsibility to train them enough so that
Yeah.
productively and then without knowing how are you going to use the tool, so you have to,
Yeah.
because internet is, even today internet is a big challenge in India, even though it
Yeah.
is available in the cities, but in rural and semi-urban people who live in the mountain villages, so it is really
Yeah.
a nightmare.
It
So
is.
what is your
Yeah.
piece of advice?
So I agree, as in I lived in different parts of India also, and then let's say I lived in let's say I stayed for a while because my in-laws are there in the mountains. Their internet is a major problem, and then but I also lived in a city. Then internet is not that kind of a problem. So your perspective changes with the place that you are in, and then there are some challenges that we do not understand if we are in the cities. I agree. And then with the teachers getting the training, or even having the time or the resources to test these kind of new tools, because if you want to learn something new, and you need to have that kind of time and peace of mind, because if it is not there, then you cannot you know invite those kind of challenges, because you're already surviving with a lot of work. We here I would say the good it's also hectic here because with online classes and everything, you'll have to be doing some evening classes, and then it is hectic. But then the good part is that you have a lot of time at hand. And I worked in India, and then I'm working now here, and then I can see that I have more time on my hand to try these kind of new techniques and new strategies and new tools, because because my mind is free, it is not crowded. And I would say for teachers in India, apart from the the technological, gaps, as you were saying, the rural areas, and then the internet, and then the resources, and apart from that, the other major challenge is that the time that is available on their hand. And to solve that, I would say they can use it to give them ideas to for good activities in their classrooms, because maybe a tired teacher might not be creative all the time, might not be able to come up with the ideas themselves. So then this kind of a tool can give all these different perspectives that the teacher can consider, and can give good creative ideas. We haven't done that, but if you use, let's say, a tool like Padlet or even ChatGPT for the different kind of activities you can use, let's say in a language class, because I'm a language teacher, you wouldn't believe the number of ideas that it would give you. Just that you have to have the experience to pick the right one for your classroom and to execute it properly in your classroom with your students. Definitely, you need the experience and skill to do that. But then, if you want somebody, shooting ideas at you, ChatGPT works very well. And the management, I would say, if they give them some basic training and some time to, play with these kind of tools, it would save the time both for the management and the teacher, because then, the teacher can get a few things done faster compared to doing everything from scratch. So definitely, there are many ideas out there, and now internet is full of all these teachers talking about their experiences, not like 20 years ago. So, so the teachers can use it, let's say, for classrooms very well, because the teachers here also use these tools quite a bit. No teacher here is, building all these materials from scratch. They are using all the resources that are available around them. So that's absolutely fine. Just when you have to submit a document that is plagiarism free is when you need to be careful. You need to cite and you need to mention where you got the information from. Otherwise, you're plagiarizing. Otherwise, it's definitely okay for teachers to use. And then, as I was saying, Santosh Mahapatra, he works in BITS, and then he conducted a study there. And then he also deals with large classrooms there. And then he said that this kind of a tool was very good for giving feedback to the students on the writing process. And this was not possible, let's say, 10 years ago. Nobody was giving no tool was giving you feedback on your text. You had to rely on human feedback. But now the tool has become more intelligent, that it can read your text and then offer some feedback, which is good. Then the teachers can use it for that, as in let the students ask their questions first to one of these tools if they have access, because most of them have phones, and then if they have internet, then they could use that. But then those places without it would still have to, you know, stick to the traditional methods. And
Thank you, ma'am. And there is some question. Is there any tool that help to summarize content of research article?
Definitely this ChatGPT or Copilot can do that for you. It can summarize, it can read and offer you a summary. And you can decide based on the summary, but I would still say Please don't use it as a summary in your research article. Just try to understand from that summary what this article is about. And then if you're interested, you can go deeper. These tools can do that. Yeah.
There is a compliment, ma'am. The way you have presented and composed your ideas, I think it is impressive. So there is a compliment for your
Sure.
presentation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm kind of lost now in all the comments. I'm reading them. Yeah.
Okay, participants, are there more questions? It was very interesting, ma'am. You had the patient to prepare and do a kind of practical show also in front of the audience. That
Yeah.
was very nice. I think
Yeah.
it is easy for anyone to follow how to use
Sure.
ChatGPT for their
Yeah.
teaching.
Yeah. I did not want to do a monologue where, you talk about the tool, but you do not use it. Then the listeners wouldn't know what I'm talking about, or, they'll have to go and check for themselves, and they might not have the time for it because they're busy. So that's why I would have benefited from something like that if somebody did it. So I thought I'll do a more practical thing. But yeah, it was very nice. I had to do this for the talk. It gave me, some opportunity to think about this, and then how to present this, because you take some things for granted. You're using it every day. What else can you use it for, kind of a thing. So it was beneficial for me as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Dr.
Thank
Gomadi,
you.
you would like to say something? Please take it.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am. You again, this has given us some extra information how ChatGPT can be used, and this will be highly beneficial for us. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thanks very much. And I'll
Rajesh,
take leave. I'll take leave now, maybe, right?
1 minute. 1 minute.
No,
1 minute.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. As we bring this International Faculty Development Program to a close, I could like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the Lord Almighty for blessing us with the success of this FDP. I extend my heartfelt thanks to our esteemed guests and speakers. Your insightful presentation and thought-provoking discussion have been invaluable to us. We are truly grateful for your contribution. A special thanks goes to our dedication participants. Your enthusiasm, engagement, and active involvement have been the heart and soul of this program, enriching our conversation and elevating the learning experience. We would also like to convey our sincere thanks to Globethics for their collaboration and Ms. Rajula, the coordinator of this FDP, for her tireless effort in making this event a success. Our heartful gratitude goes to our chairman, Sri M.V. Muthuramalingam, our principal, Dr. P. Ali, and our dedicated faculty members for their unwavering support and encouragement. A special word of thanks to the organizing committee and everyone who worked behind the scenes. Your commitment and hard work were instrumental in bringing this event to life. As Albert Einstein said, education is not the learning of fact, but the training of the mind to think. Once again, thank you all for your contribution, and we look forward to continue collaboration in the future. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very
Rajala
much.
madam. Thank you,
And thank
Dr.
you.
Shruti.
And the team.
Thank you very much.
Special thanks from Globethics also, and we do organize a lot of events like this, and definitely I think I'll come back to you to speak in
Sure.
one of Globethics program. It was really wonderful and a lot of new insights for me as well. So I'm
Sure.
sure whatever the participants have learned from you today, because they all teaching community only teaching, so the interaction happens with the learners, the students, so they have to use it. So it is the right time that we had you actually for this program. So I will also stay in touch with you. Thank you very much.
Sure. Pleasure. Glad to hear. Thank you all.
Thank you. And I'm closing the webinar. Thank you, everyone.